Good evening, and welcome to Good Technician News Network. My name is Alex McCullum, and this is your news. Our story today brings us to a small town in southeastern Georgia, where a coalition of sailors have banded together in the fight against single-ply toilet paper. Fed up with the inadequate quality of DoD-provided toiletries, this coalition demands an increase in the federal standard of hygiene. The leading voice in this movement is a Florida man known as Luke Worley, who is quoted as saying, "We've put up with this blatant disregard for human decency for too long, and it's time for a change." His community's outcry for better quality toilet paper is not without reprisal, with the strongest backlash emerging from right here in Camden County. John Russell, the head representative of Fifth and Hitch Resource and Acquisition, publicly announced his company's opposition to the movement and even admitted to taking legal action against Worley's coalition, claiming, quote, "Luke is leading a movement to reduce the number of single-ply rolls available for military members, and legal action has been taken against his coalition." To better understand the source of this conflict, I decided to go into the field to ask the hard questions to get the real answers. Starting first with John Russell. Upon arriving to Fifth and Hitch Resource and Acquisition Headquarters located at Lot 5 in Woodbine, Georgia, I immediately noticed that the property was in terrible disarray. With junk scattered about and tarps hung from the ceiling, I got to understand exactly what kind of person John Russell is. However, I was taken aback when he refused to even answer the door to provide an insightful interview regarding his company's legal stance on the war against toilet paper. Seemingly at a dead end, our network scrambled to uncover leads that could shed some much-needed light on the inner dealings of Fifth and Hitch. Fortunately, we were able to get some contact with a former Fifth and Hitch employee who was able to reveal some surprising details surrounding the company's recent changes, so I decided to pay him a visit. In talking to this Kingsland resident, we were able to uncover some glaring irregularities in Fifth and Hitch's business practice. Specific dealings reveal that there's something to be gained from the continued use of single-ply toilet paper within the Department of Defense. Although this whistleblower was not able to fully disclose potentially incriminating information about his former company, he did, however, claim that his separation from the company was founded in disagreement, largely due to the differences in moral opinion. Sharing his history with Fifth and Hitch, he explained just why he decided to hang up his hat and go his own way. This is an exclusive interview with someone who knows the company's representative, and here's what he had to say.
So how long did you work at the Fifth and Hitch Resource Acquisition Department?
Well, in total, I was with them about 5 years. I was there at the startup, and I ended up joining the Resource Acquisition Department about 2 years in, and then left about a year ago. My involvement started to really dwindle down, and then I've been away from the company for about 8 months now.
What specifically was wrong with the direction the company was going in?
I just, not to really bring anything too much to light, but I just felt it was a moral decision, a personal decision to go a different way. And so I had to part ways with the company. I still cherish the success of that company, but ever since successors came in, I decided to no longer have any involvement.
Okay, what can you tell me about their involvement in the toilet paper industry?
I don't know if it's my place to really divulge about that. And I can't say that I know exactly what's going on today. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Can you tell me anything about Jonathan Russell?
Jonathan Russell. I remember him, and he ended up taking my position that I previously held at the Resource Acquisition Department and leading that. And no further comments.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time
Thank you
and
very much.
allowing me to ask these questions.
Finally, I met up in one of Camden County's beautiful parks with coalition leader Luke Worley to discuss his views of the war on toilet paper and to address the legal discourse brought on by Fifth and Hitch Trailer Co. He was ultimately able to piece together the inconsistencies surrounding John Russell's invested interest in the supply of toilet paper. In a shocking revelation, Luke claimed that Fifth and Hitch had been benefiting from the abundance of subpar toilet paper supplied to DoD facilities across the globe. He maintains that the employees, and more specifically John Russell, reappropriate the single-ply toilet paper for their own personal use. This bold statement and more was shared in the following one-on-one interview.
So I was wondering if you could tell me why you started the coalition.
I started the coalition for good sailors against bad toilet paper, primarily because of a substantial lack in quality of the toilet paper that the troops are providing, both in America on naval bases and out to sea. This toilet paper is so poor in quality. I've heard countless stories and recollections of just the misery caused by it, not only because it's painful at the time, but the pain lasts much longer than just the situation where you're wiping, and it builds and builds and builds. But I've grown tired of people being unaware of it, and if nothing else, I just want to broadcast the struggle that we have to deal with, and hopefully incite some change.
This makes a lot of people upset.
It's ruffled some feathers. We're actually, the coalition is currently engaged in a legal battle right now with the Fifth and Hitch company located here in Woodland, Georgia.
We tried to talk to them.
That's right, yeah.
We went and we attempted an interview, and their leader, at least the leader of the suit, was not present. He decided to not show.
We're talking about John, obviously. Yeah, I personally, it's really showing of his colors to make such broad public claims, and incite ill will against me, just because I want the troops to get better quality toilet paper to better take care of themselves. It's really a hygiene issue when you break down to the brass tacks. Whereas I personally think he's more concerned with just the financial benefit, because it's no secret that he gets a lot of benefit from the supply being single ply.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just going to cut it to you straight, okay?
All right.
He lives in a trailer, but it's a camper, and so he has to drop the black tank. And part of the issue is that you don't buy double ply toilet paper, you buy single ply toilet paper, but it's not so readily common and available, except U.S. naval bases, specifically in the submarine fleet. So I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying that I'm sure some of the logistics guys can get down there and do an inventory and realize they've come up a little short.
And you think this presents a problem for the procurement of double-ply toilet paper for the troops? Because, as it seems, the Fifth and Hitch acquisition department is severely against the movement to get this double-ply because of the ill-gotten gains of the single-ply currently being used.
I couldn't have said it better. I just think I think that the philosophy behind why they're doing what they're doing and attacking me and attacking my coalition, and bringing us into suit over something that is not in the good moral nature of doing what's best for the common people, and really the select few benefit and the majority are going to be at fault here, or at least the majority are going to suffer, because while it might be easier for John to process his single-ply toilet paper with the chemicals in his black tank back home at the camper, it's a lot more frustrating to deal with that at a department Department of Defense facility, especially considering the fact that the U.S. Department of Defense is one of the most populated agencies.
Yeah, that's well, your movement seems to be getting a lot of traction. Seems to be getting a lot of support. If you could say anything to John right now, what would you let him know about your movement? What you want to do for these people for the greater good.
So our lawyers and legal team has advised us not to have any private or off-the-record conversations with the suing party, specifically Jonathan Russell and the Fifth and Hitch Acquisition Department. But there is one thing I'll say to John in public right now, is that I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. And I can't stand how your selfishness is going to possibly get in the way and impede our troops' ability to have proper hygiene. That's all I have to say about that.
In this segment, we're able to talk with some of southeastern Georgia's dedicated servicemen in an effort to uncover the truth. Unfortunately, despite all attempts, we have not been able to contact John Russell to hear exactly what Fifth and Hitch Trailer Co. has to say. But as far as the war on toilet paper is concerned, only time will tell if Luke Worley and his coalition of good sailors against bad toilet paper will triumphantly prevail, or if Fifth and Hitch will succeed in suppressing a much-needed upgrade in DoD hygienic toiletries. I'm Alex McCollum, and this has been the Good Technician News Network. Thank you, and good night.